Hi guys, so my beauty standards slightly changed this night. You know, we don't live just once, so one wasted lifetime is always a lot of fun. Your compliments I'm gonna read later today in the comments. Thank you.
Hi guys, so interesting subject today. You know, recently I was searching for makeup in Pinterest and I was scrolling and I noticed one thing. All the girls look so similar. It was so hard to tell the difference. All those faces look very, very similar. Same nose, same eyes, same facial structure, same lips. I noticed that all of them have pretty big or middle size but pretty rounded pouty lips with slightly upturned corners, you know, and I found it pretty interesting, and I found it probably that's still a trend, which I know the lip fillers are not as popular as it was several years before, but still it's pretty popular. So I wondered why exactly that became trendy. Specialists say that if a woman has bigger lips, it tells more about the blood flow on her face. That means better fertility, better health. Interesting, but you know what I think it is more, and why it became really popular lately? Because of the porn movies. I think that became so popular, and I think so many young people now have access to it. So I think this is what this mouth actually looks like to me, especially when it's too big, disproportionately big, when it's obvious that it was injected. Because that porn chic vibe, actually it started a little bit with Kardashian era. Before that it wasn't that much. Like, what is your first thought when you think about huge injected lips? Kylie Jenner, right? So this is probably one of the freshest and the biggest things lately. So in 2015 actually that became a big thing, because when she was just a teenager we started seeing all those pictures with her lips, matte lips with this kind of dusty Bordeaux color. Many people were arguing even, no, she didn't do the lips, she's just overdrawing them. And this is how she created that fairy tale for public at first, because she was, I think, 16 or something at that time, yeah? So that was kind of like too early to do plastic surgery at those years. A big no-no, because it was like a bad example for younger girls and parents didn't like it, and it was a huge thing. So she didn't open it, and approximately at that time I started my YouTube channel, I started doing transformations, and that Kylie Jenner thing was very popular at that time. And I myself also was doing transformation to her look, and I was also doing those lips bigger, and I was also trying to find a matching lip liner for that particular purpose. And I found it very cool. Actually, I liked those lips on myself, those overdrawn lips particularly. I think if I would inject it, I would look absolutely sick. To me, slightly overdrawn lips with a pencil, I think that gives a very cool vibe. And also I think I don't have this kind of a Kylie Jenner-ish vibe and look, so I think on me, even those kind of lips, I think they look a little bit different. But you know what is interesting? In several years after that she injected those lips, she made this billion-dollar business with these lip kits that she started selling. And I'm still wondering, was she planning to do that business when she just injected her lips, and it was kind of like a more marketing move? I'm sure these families have the greatest marketers out there, so they always create some kind of very controversial scandal thing, like a drama, and then after this drama they normally sell something, and many people already know about these people, know about their situation, and some hate it, some love it, some are just irritated by the whole drama about this, but they still put their attention in there. And attention is the most important thing, because this is what is selling, this is what you're earning money from. So my idea is, whether she knew already at that time what kind of business she wants to create in several years, and she created that kind of drama situation, or she didn't, and that lip kits cosmetic line, it came to her mind maybe several years after, like how we can make now money out of this drama once it happened. Maybe she just wanted her lips to be bigger, which I remember she said that she had very small lips and she didn't like it, so she was always insecure about this and all this stuff. If you know something about it, let me know in the comments. I'm just very curious about what was first, like chicken or egg. So after that was boom. Lip injections became so popular, and in 2015, 27,000 Americans did those lips injections. Every 20 minutes, it was one new person. Pretty intense. What social media is doing. First attempt of lip augmentation actually happened very early. In the beginning of 19th century, it was more like they were injecting with some natural fat, but it was more so some people just had this disease. They were losing some volumes in some tissues, so that was kind of an attempt how to restore that tissue. And then later in the beginning of 20th century, it was like 1900s or something, 1906 I think, so they started doing those surgeries with injecting liquid paraffin into the lips, but it wasn't very successful, and so they stopped doing this. And then in the 1960s they also had another attempt to do the bigger lips with collagen, but for this kind of procedure they did allergy test 3 weeks before the procedure itself. So for patients it was like a too long time to wait and just see how it goes, and many had allergy reaction that when they found out about hyaluronic acid and what you can do, and it all started. So was it all started with Kylie? And you know the answer is no. In 2006 actually, Angelina Jolie, she was called one of the most beautiful stars ever in some of the magazines. Her lips were like a dream, but at that time women didn't actually do the lips because they didn't have this idea that they can actually have that particular shape of the lips, because she has very particular shape. Her lips don't look injected because they all are in wrinkles, and their lips are actually pretty strong looking and pretty blunt looking. Lip injections, they normally look like balloons. If they are done too much on the face, they look like swollen face and sick face normally on a woman. I also know some women who have naturally big lips, but what they did, they cut the muscles here, so their lips look upwards always, like the eternal smile. And with having those huge lips with this eternal smile, that looks very unclassy, very inelegant in my viewpoint.
You know, on the other hand, if I'm sad, I just look in the mirror and this face is smiling to me. And I'm like, things are not as bad.
You know, for some women that looks more or less okay, especially with small mouth, but with naturally big mouth, wide mouth, and big lips. If you're making those that eternal smile, it is very hard to look like a lady. First of all, your natural lips start looking like injected lips already, which is already doesn't look very kind of expensive, right? You know, injected lips can't look expensive. If you don't see that, that's okay. But if it's very visible, I think that just the visibility of this can't look classy ever. If you're injecting your lips and thinking twice, like before cutting those muscles, like think hundreds times. So yeah, I think when Angelina Jolie became famous, of course some people still wanted to look like her and they tried to do those surgeries and operations, but I don't think that it was such a big a lip thing, because when Kylie did this, it was more like before and after. It was huge difference before and after, and that was a trigger, that was a button exactly right there to the hearts of young girls. I talk about it a little bit in my video about how to look classy, which originally was a different name, how not to look like a star. And also, would lip fillers suit your face? I'm gonna leave the link down below. It depends a lot on the face. You know, for some faces it's not visible, for some faces it's super visible. I was also thinking about before Angelina Jolie, like, do we have somebody there? And I remembered about Pamela Anderson. And when I had the image in my head of Pamela Anderson, I remembered the boobs. Yeah, she did huge boobs. And I remembered her lips being not thin, you know? I remember her lips, and one lip was like lifted on one side. I even did the makeup transformation to Pamela Anderson. But then when I checked all her pictures, when I checked her younger pictures, I could see that she actually never had huge lips. She would overdraw them on purpose with a pencil and then make that light pearl pink kind of a color on her lips. So that was like a part of her image kind of a thing. But she never injected her lips, which is interesting, and her lips have always been on a smaller side actually, if we compare them to the rest of her face, because her nose is also pretty small and her eyes are hooded and small. So I think proportionally her lips were very normal size to her nose, to her eyes. For some women probably same lips would look quite small. especially for women with bigger eyes or with bigger nose or with bigger cheekbones. We normally pay attention on the proportions within one face. We never compare our face to somebody else's face. This is another reason why some women with these huge injected lips, they look very disproportionate, unnatural, and unclassy. That's another reason, because you can actually see that it's not her mouth. Before Pamela Anderson, okay, let's go back. Sex symbol, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe had everything pretty soft and slightly on a bigger side. She had pretty soft and rounded eyes, pretty soft, slightly wide rounded nose, pretty soft lip shape. When I say soft lip shape, I mean, first of all, they were not very downwards. And also, if you could see in her profile, the outline of her lips was not sharp. It was more like the lip goes right there to the skin. I myself, I have very sharp lips, sharp lip shape. I have 2 triangles here at the front, but she didn't. No, her lips were already pretty soft. So for her, it was pretty easy to overdraw them, especially with a darker color. Dark Bordeaux lip pencil, and then fill it in with some red lipstick, and then she applied some Vaseline in the center of her lips just to give them that gloss effect. Could hardly see that she overdrew her lips because the whole surface was pretty soft. So one thing actually seamlessly would go to another thing. So everything was very, very soft in her whole face and the body. She could actually overdraw them, and people would not see that as much, especially with the quality of the camera. Of course, I think if she had iPhone right now and she would do selfies all the time, we could see that she overdrew them a little bit here on the side here, and then she would always overdrawing them on the bottom. And actually she did sometimes even like squarish shape, so she would overdraw them here and here. I think thin lips give a different vibe a little bit for a woman. I think woman looks more classic, old times, probably a little bit more European or a little bit more Nordic, maybe a little bit serious, a good girl, or vintage, or slightly cute even, and sometimes maybe a little bit childish, and maybe more French in some cases. But I think if a woman has naturally big lips, we're not even discussing that. That just can't look not beautiful. But when the mouth is changed completely, comparing to the rest of the face, I think this is when it can really look sick. Model Carly Kloss, she has very small lips, and she sometimes tells in interview that she sometimes is cheating a little bit, and she's overdrawing them slightly with a lip pencil. Just in general, she is not doing anything specific with that. She has pretty large face actually, but her nose is sharp. It's elongated, but it's sharp nose and pretty sharp, small eyes. And I think for that kind of a facial structure, she also looks amazing with those small lips. And there are actually many stars who have tiny lips and they look gorgeous. They have a little bit different vibe again. Maybe not like a bombshell, super sexy mama, but they more like modest looking, probably more classic looking maybe. Emma Watson, she has like a small face, so for her it looks like even cute, gives her like a cute effect. Now Blake Lively also, she has bigger face and her nose is quite big actually, but her eyes are hooded and pretty small, and those small lips and those small eyes, they kind of speak together, and I think that looks very much in harmony with her whole look. And I think if she would do the lips, huge lips, maybe a little bit we would not notice, but maybe if she would do huge lips, that would make her face too rough and too simple. I think that would take away the classiness from her. Kate Middleton, she's not going to do those lips, of course not, because again, her lips are pretty sharp shape. She has pretty sharp smile. So yeah, I think in her case, it's not needed. Amy Adams, pretty small lips, not tiny though, but yeah, again, it's pretty proportionate to her whole face. Kirsten Dunst, she has her lips on a smaller side. How great it looks, even though she has pretty wide face. She has pretty wide and big face. And she has small eyes. Her nose is, I would say, middle size, not very small and not very large. It's more like short, but on a wider side. And her lips are just small and pretty sharp looking, but it's very cute on her, and actually it gives her that more neat effect probably for her face. And actually it probably is holding back that situation with her cheeks, so she looks like more classic right away. Okay, so when do thin lips gonna be on trend again? And is it possible at all? You let me know in the comments what you think about this. I think it can happen. I think it's gonna be a new role model. Something probably will happen in the world, and this person, this woman, will be connected to those circumstances, will be connected, and probably emotionally we will connect. It will be another button, probably. It will be another maybe emotional button or something. Probably soon women will not try to blow themselves to a balloons necessarily. The ones who are not built that way, obviously who was built that way, that it's just beauty itself. But I'm mostly talking about women who are born differently and try to blow some parts of their body to create some prominence in there. So I just think that it's gonna be somebody. I don't know who and when. We're not ready for that yet. I think in several years. It's easier nowadays. Like before, only rich women could actually go and do this. And now this procedure is going more and more popular. So almost everyone can go and do this. And for some women, yeah, proportionately, they sometimes actually do something with their face to proportionately make it more even. And I understand that, of course. I know some women who have uneven lips. For example, that part is bigger, that part is much smaller. So they try to correct that. It's a very interesting subject. I'm very curious about what you think about this. Let me know in the comments. Click on this video. Would you look good with lip fillers? Also, subscribe on this channel and click the join button here, or subscribe on my Patreon. I'm gonna leave the link down below. It's gonna be a huge help for me because with you guys, with your help, I'm able to create those videos. Thank you and bye-bye.